anything worth achieving requires you to push past those moments when you want to quit, when you want to give up. But there's something about believing. Before we pray, I just want to read in your hearing how our brother David dealt with this in the book of Psalms 27. The 27th Psalm, verse 13, David said, I had fainted unless I had believed. Unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord. Not just know that the goodness of the Lord existed. But David said in this verse that, look, I would have fainted unless I had believed that I was going to see it. Believe to see the goodness of the Lord right here. Not in the sweet by and by. But in the land of the living. I want you to pray with me from that thought that I would have fainted. Look at your neighbor and say, I would have fainted. Father, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge your presence in this place. We thank you for your presence and your power. Because God, we understand that there's believers everywhere. Your word says that if thou believest there is one God, thou doest well, but even devils believe and tremble. So we've come to a place to where we believe it's not enough just to be a believer, but we want to be empowered believers. And we know that you're here because we always feel your power. So because it's preaching time now, God, we're asking you now as always that you would hide me behind the cross. We understand that in order for this to happen, Father, I must decrease and you must increase. We pray this because we understand that we want when the people look at me to see you. Though that the people would listen to me, we would all hear from you because we never want the focus to be on the messenger, but the message. We never want the focus to be on the man, but the Messiah. So that when all is said and done, only Jesus will be glorified in this house, and that your anointing will continue to fall in this place like rain. And all who agreed said, Amen. Amen. You know, church, one of the things that I've always found rather odd about what a life walking with God looks like is the fact that at any given moment, you can always find things that are extremely bad and things that are extremely good. And you can find both of these things all going on in your life at the same time. What I'm saying is that it's rare that you'll ever have a season in your life where everything is all good. Or everything is all bad. And so I've discovered that one of the things that determine the kind of person you are is which areas of your life you tend to focus on the most. There's pessimistic and optimistic people. Look at your neighbor and say, which one are you? Is the cup half full? Or is the cup half empty? It's all a matter of perspective. And you see, church, this is important because your perspective about things like this directly affects how much time people like me want to spend around you. Can I just keep it real? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Because you see, some people are just cup half empty people. They can be negative. That all they can ever seem to do is go looking for that one bad thing. In every good situation, it can be draining sometimes where they want to rain on your parade. You know, you can have some things going on and they will point out the fact, yeah, but. See, I don't know about you, but I find strength in the fact that there are some people out there that they have a way of finding the fact that every cloud has a silver lining somewhere. I don't care how dark things are. I don't care how dreary things are. I don't care how hard the storm is. There's some people that can find a way to make you look at the bright side. You need people like that in your life. Am I right about it? You just got to be able to look past all of the negativity in order to find the positive sides of every situation that you deal with. Am I right about it? Because you see, church, I've been around a lot, and I've been to an awful lot of places in my life, and I've seen an awful lot of things, and I don't know what it's like to just kind of always be one way or the other. If we're honest with ourselves, there's a balance, right? And so I know what it's like to have to balance situations where you're celebrating certain things in your life while you're managing the healing process of pain in other sections of your life. You got to be able to balance this thing. And it can get kind of confusing because, you see, sometimes life takes you down roads that you never really wanted to go. But then when you get there and you get a new perspective, you find yourself thanking God for taking you there. You didn't want to go there, but now that you're there, you have a new perspective. Come on, Pastor, tell the truth. Can we just talk about it? Oh, you might have lost some things that you never wanted to lose, but at the same time, you gained some things that you never thought you gained. And sometimes I can't help but marvel at how God and how He sometimes seems to have a way of adding to your life by taking things. We serve the kind of God that can add to you by taking away. You're better because you lost that. You're better because you don't have that. You're better because you didn't get that. You're better because that door that you wanted to open stayed closed. Tell somebody, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. It's amazing to me how God always has a way of balancing the joys and pains of life in such a way that keeps us from fainting. And so you see, church, even in those moments where you find yourself standing with a heavy heart, the power of God in your life is evident in the fact that in spite of all that heaviness, you're still able to keep on standing anyhow. Because you see, church, when your perspective is right, then no matter what's going on in your life, you never lose sight of the fact that God is faithful. And you can tell people, you might be able to get me to doubt myself, but you'll never be able to get me to doubt myself. I don't know about you, but like David said, I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord right here in the land of the living. How many of you are willing to stand and fight with David this morning? Yeah. Because you see, I figured I just may have, I may not be the only one who's ever had to go looking for sunshine on a cloudy day. Some of y'all old school saints know about that song. I've got sunshine. Yeah, you date yourself. On a cloudy day. Don't start singing it in your head. We in church. Y'all so holy. And when you think about things like like that, and how that adds perspective. I figure that maybe some of you in here know what it's like to have to try to smile through your tears every now and then. And maybe some of y'all have figured this out too, but you know, there's just something about knowing that trouble don't last always. You know, that's something that the old school saints used to reinforce all the time. When they see you going through some things, they'll look you in the eye and say, hold your head up, son, because trouble don't last always. I don't know about you, but maybe I can't speak for everybody, but I just wonder if anyone else feels that there's something about knowing that God won't ever allow any burdens on you that you can't bear. You ought to look over and tell your neighbor, you can take it. You can take it. You can take it. Because you see, even when God allows certain things to take you down, you best believe he'll never allow that thing to take you out. And that's why sometimes the only reason I keep on fighting is because I done messed around and figured out that I can't lose with the stuff I use. And for some of y'all, the only reason you keep getting back up is because the power of God won't let you stay down. You got too much life in you to sit there and die. You got too much power picking you up to let something keep you down. David said, I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Now I got to tell you something, church. As I was preparing this message, I found myself in a unique position where I started studying this text because, you see, the very thing that drew me to this particular verse wasn't even actually in the original text. I'm about to blow your mind a little bit, if that's all right. Because the part that actually caught my attention was just a few words that were added to the text by the Bible translators. And they added this to the text in an attempt to try to help bring some understanding to the original text. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Our text reads, I have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Let me teach you a little something. Now, for those of you Bible scholars out there, you already know that there's a difference between the regular words and then these italicized words. Yeah, that's right. Now, if you're looking at a King James Version of Bible, and for that matter, even those of you who are looking at a different translation, one of the things you'll notice is that even though there's different words, you'll see this too. But I want you to take a look at the fact that the words I have fainted, or however that particular verse in Psalm 27:13 starts out for you, if you're looking at a Bible, they're italicized. And if you look at these words, you'll notice that they're italicized. For those of you who happen to have this translation, you'll see that however the translation phrases the first two words of your text, simply put, they're printed differently than the other words in the verse. I'm trying to make it plain. Now, anytime you look at any scripture in the Bible and you see words that are italicized, it simply means that they weren't there when the text was originally written. But the people that were translating the text from Greek and English to English, or from Hebrew to English, they realized that they had to add a few words here to the verses that would make it, if they didn't do that, it wouldn't make sense in English. So understand, these words weren't added to change the meaning, but to simply help you understand the meaning. Are you with me? So then, before you can really gain a true appreciation for this text, the first thing you have to understand is this. It's never outside of the realm of possibilities that God will use something outside the word to help you gain a better understanding of something inside. What I'm saying here is that if you walk with Jesus long enough, you might eventually find yourself in a situation where you don't have no biblical reference for what you're going through right now. You can't find it in the scripture or what you're dealing with. You see, some people panic in situations like this because they haven't embraced this revelation that God has called me to release up in here today. And what he's saying to us here is that just like David, there are going to be moments in the life of every believer when the only way you can keep yourself from fainting is if you can somehow convince yourself to believe that God is going to eventually show you something that you can't find an understanding for in his word. He's going to give you something outside to help you understand something inside the word of God. God is going to eventually put somebody or something in your way to help you understand or make sense of all the stuff you've been going through. David said, I would have fainted unless there was something inside of me that believed that despite the way things look, I knew he would never leave me nor forsake me. Even though I felt like I was alone, I would have fainted unless I had understood that my faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I would have fainted if nobody had ever told me that he may not come when you want him, but that somehow he's always right. Because you see, it was in moments like these where it seems like nothing's adding up. And it was in those moments when nothing seemed to be making sense anymore. It was in those moments when that God would find a way to add something to our world to make us understand his will. He had to take me to a place where somebody could position the words in such a way that I could understand what he was trying to say, or I would have just flat fainted. And so this is what David was saying when he said, listen, I would have fainted. Now check this out. Let me just show you how the people that translated this particular text came to the place where they realized that they had to add these words. I would have fainted. The first thing you've got to understand in order to see how they arrived there is you got to understand what contextual clues is. Where my English majors at? What that simply means is that sometimes even if you wouldn't normally understand a certain word or phrase, you say it in a sentence. Sometimes have a better chance of understanding it if you take a look at and see how it might be used in a sentence. And so it's that simple principle that many people use to understand the words that were left out of some sentences based on the contextual clues of the circumstances surrounding the sentence. So this is what they did. It's just like when you're growing up and your parents look at you and say, boy, if you don't get out of my face. Now, they didn't even have to finish that sentence. Most times, even if they had tried, you was gone anyway. Because all they said is, if you don't get out of my face, ... But you used contextual clues. You took into account what you were doing at the time that you had no business. You took into account the fact that their facial expressions were speaking certain things that would lead you to believe that there would be some assault charges picked. Contextual clues are how we understand certain things outside that we can add to the Bible to make us understand what's going on inside. So, smart children never stuck around once they got the contextual clues figured out. You see, because at a very young age, we start doing the same things that these Bible translators were doing. Y'all were all Bible scholars and didn't even know it. And so anyway, this same process that the translators used when they came up with the words, I have fainted, in this text, which is just a 16th century way of saying, I would have fainted, by the way. And the way they came to this conclusion that David was implying that he would have fainted was the fact that he was asking God in the verse right before this, in verse 12, leading up to our text, he says, deliver me not over to the will of my enemies. He says, for false witnesses have risen up against me, and such breathe out cruelty. And so even though the actual word David said in his text was, unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. That's all he said. But when they added verse 12 to verse 13, they wanted to make sure, no, we don't want them to miss the revelation. Once the translators considered the fact that David spoke these words right after crying out for deliverance in the midst of some terrible persecution, it was pretty obvious to them that David was about ready to give up. Sometimes you got to be able to look at your brothers and sisters in Christ and see when they're about ready to give up. Yes. You see, sometimes it's not the right time to critique. Sometimes it's not the right time to point out the negativity. Come on, Pastor. Sometimes even when you see somebody in their mess and in their struggle and in the stain of what they're going through, they need somebody to sift past all of the mess and the drama and the nasty attitudes and say, I see God in you. I see something good in you in spite of what you heard, in spite of what everybody else is telling you. I see that even though it looks like you're about to give up, I see something that's going to help you to stand. Tell somebody, say, help me stand. Once the translators considered that David was about to give up, they said, we need to insert something in here to help people understand. It was equally apparent to them that he was making it clear that the only thing keeping him from giving up was the fact that he believed something. What's keeping you from fainting? Why haven't you gave up yet? I mean, you got a number of reasons that you can just rattle off right now that would make me believe that you ain't got no business keeping on. So with your crazy self, you still keep. You see, church, just like these translators do, sometimes I can look at the Word of God and then I can look at you. And it becomes completely obvious to me that just like David, some of y'all would have fainted. But when it's the wee hours of the night and I get tired and I don't feel like keeping on, God makes me believe that somebody in here is going to need that word. There's somebody in there that is contemplating suicide, but they need to hear from heaven. There's somebody that needs a touch. There's something you've got to believe something that makes you push past the point where you want to give up. You see, church, these translators had that figured out, and David did also. David said, some of y'all need to understand that, look, even I, with my kingly anointed self, felt like fainting. But there was something that kept me from fainting. Some of y'all would have fainted. You ain't even got to say it because it's written all over your face. You may not always understand when or why or how, but you just believe somehow, some way, you're going to make it. You might not always be able to put it in words, and it doesn't make sense all the time, but you just seem to know in your spirit. Somebody in here has some things going on in your life that makes you want to give up right now, but there's something inside of your spirit that just won't let you quit. You ought to just look over at your neighbor and say, I just got a feeling. I don't understand. I just got a feeling that everything is going to be all right, because I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord right here in the land of the living. You see, when I was being overcome with fear, I went to casting it down because I believed. I believe that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love and of power and a sound mind. Somebody in here knows what it means to keep going even when you're being lied on and even when you're being talked about. You still kept walking around with your head held high because you just believe that God says, who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? I would have fainted, but I just believe that despite what everything looked like, I I just believe that my money don't always line up, but I just believe that Jehovah Jireh is my provider. Sometimes I struggle with sickness in my body, but I just believe that Jehovah Rapha is my healer. And sometimes when all hell breaks loose in our life, we just got to believe that Jehovah is Jehovah Shalom, the God of our peace. I would have fainted, but I just believe that. Now, I'm trying to stop. Y'all leave me alone for a minute. I got to make this last. Now, let me say for the record, the fact that I like the fact that David wasn't just saying he believed that the Lord was good. Because we say that in church all the time. God is good. All the time. God is good. All right, he didn't stop there. Because this is one thing to know that it's good. But David said, I believe I'm going to see it. Not just know it. He said, listen, the fact that he didn't stop at just knowing that God, he said, you see, that wouldn't have kept him from fainting just knowing that God was good. You see, David was saying, listen, he believed that he was going to see it for himself right here in the land of the living. And the thing I like about that is the fact that David was showing us that serving God has benefits that we ought to be able to see on this side of heaven. Being saved ain't just avoiding hell. But at some point, we ought to be able to taste and see that the Lord is good. You see, I don't know about you, but I get excited about the fact that God is going to do a work in our life that we can see. Tell somebody, just watch me. Just watch me. I'm tired of everybody else trying to tell me I'm blessed. I'm tired of everybody else trying to tell me I can make it. I want to see it for myself. I want him to make it so obvious that my blessings bless you. I want to just walk around with blessings chasing me. Because the Bible said when you're obedient to the Lord, his blessings will overtake you. You ain't got to go chasing blessings. Blessings are going to go chasing you. If I'm really blessed and highly favored, then I want people to see it. If I'm really blessed and highly favored, then I want to see him put me in position where I can walk like it. I don't have to just talk like it. If I'm the head and not the tail, then it's about time I step into the front of the line every now and then. Because I don't know about you, but the only reason I haven't quit is because I believe that my breakthrough is on the way. The only reason I haven't thrown in the towel is because there's no doubt in my military mind that God's word will not come back void. But everything he's promised, he's more than able to deliver. You see, I just believe I went on and see what the end is going to be. Because you see, I've come too far to turn back now. You know how old folks used to say, David simply said, listen, I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord right here in the land of the living. So what God wants me to share with you today and have you take with you out of this message is that you're not standing just waiting for the sweet by and by. But God called us to walk in power, victory, and authority. We're supposed to look blessed. You're supposed to have some blessings that people can see. We don't have to walk around living a defeated Christian life, holding our heads down, complaining about what the devil's doing to us. You see, because at the end of the day, when you know who you are, devils fear you. I want you to understand there's something about a believer that knows who they are. That's what transitions you from being a believer to being an empowered believer. There's There's something different about the way you talk. There's something different about the way you see.
Come on, Pastor.
We're talking about perspective.
Yes.
Because no matter how many battles the enemy might win in your life, if you just turn to the back of the book, we win. I just want to take a moment